We all feel this pressure that we need to have everything figured out. We were all raised in different ways with different expectations. But I think there is one commonality among all of us in that we were all told at some point in our lives that if we do and figure it out, then we're gonna be a failure. For me, my parents always told me, "Honey, you need to get good grades. If you get good grades, then you can go to a good college. If you go to a good college, then you can find a good job. And if you find a good job, then you won't be poor." That was my definition of success growing up, not being poor. When I got to college, I realized very quickly that there were so many students who had figured out their major, their career path, what they want to do with their life. And I was like, wait a second, I thought I was the only person who was supposed to figure this out. The truth is most people will spend their entire lives without ever figuring it out, but they are too afraid to admit it because they do and want to be labeled as a failure. But here's the truth, you don't need to have everything figured out right now, not for other people and not for yourself. Because the truth is your identity isn't determined by whether or not you have everything figured out. There are two types of people in this world, those who have experienced hardship and those who haven't, and while the second group certainly exists, the first group makes up the majority. The people who have experienced hardship are often quick to assume the worst about others. They expect others to be suffering the way they did. This is why they believe that everyone needs to have their life figured out. I know someone who has experienced a lot of hardships in his life. He grew up homeless and never knew where his next meal would come from. He slept on the streets and begged for food. Despite the hardships he faced, he never gave up hope. He eventually turned his life around and became a successful businessman and philanthropist. Now, when he looks back on his childhood, he doesn't feel sorry for himself. Instead, he feels grateful because he believes that his hardships made him who he is today. He knows that without them, he wouldn't be the successful businessman and philanthropist he is today. I asked him, if you could go back in time, knowing what you know now, would you change anything? He said, no, I wouldn't trade my past for anything. It made me who I am today. This is a prime example of someone who understands that hardships are a part of life. He knows that everyone experiences them, and he doesn't expect others to have their life figured out, because he knows that they were probably going through something he went through as well. The fact is, most people who say everyone needs to have their life figured out are the ones who have been given every advantage in life. They've never really had to struggle for anything. And when you've never had to struggle, you build your entire worldview based on this false assumption that everyone has it easy. My parents gave me every advantage possible when it came to my childhood. I was born in a safe country. I grew up with enough money and I was given opportunities to excel in school. I recognize that I've been given more advantages than most people. And with these advantages comes a certain responsibility. I feel responsible to help others who haven't been given the same advantages that I was. It breaks my heart to see people who feel like they were a failure because they don't have their life figured out, especially when they were going through things that make it extremely difficult to focus on anything else other than survival. How are you supposed to focus on planning the rest of your life when you can't even afford food? When you're experiencing hardship, your primary focus becomes surviving those hardships. You do whatever it takes to make sure you can get by, whether it's taking on extra jobs, getting government assistance, or moving in with family members. Your life is just trying to survive day to day, let alone planning the rest of your life. So no, you don't need to have everything figured out. In fact, it's okay not to have everything figured out. What matters is that you're doing your best to get by. As long as you're trying your hardest, then that's all that matters. Now, I'm not saying that you should be irresponsible with your life. Of course not. There's a difference between trying your best and doing nothing. You don't need to have everything figured out, but you do need to take responsibility for your actions. Everyone is dealt a different hand in life. Some people are dealt a better hand, while others are dealt a worse one. But it's how you play the hand you're dealt that matters. No one can predict the future, so it's pointless to worrying about what might happen. Instead, focus on what you can control, which is your attitude and your actions. So if you're struggling to figure everything out right now, take a step back and relax. It's okay not to have everything figured out. What matters is that you're trying your best. There is a quote from the movie Dead Poets Society that reads, "We must all confront our fears, our doubts, our insecurities. They're all part of the human experience. The truth is, having everything figured out is not part of the human experience. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Humans are complex and we're constantly changing. We can't expect ourselves to make the same decisions that we made 10 years ago. We can't expect ourselves to stay in the same job for 40 years. We can't even expect ourselves to stay in the same relationship for more than a few years. The fact is, we're all constantly evolving, and we should allow ourselves the freedom to change our minds. So if you're struggling with the pressure to have everything figured out, know that you're not alone. It's a feeling that many of us can relate to. And it's important to remember that we don't need to have everything figured out. What matters is that we're trying our best and that we're open to changing our minds. You may not have everything figured out right now, but that doesn't mean you're a failure. In fact, it means quite the opposite. It means that you're still trying, which is something many people stopped doing long ago. Don't give up on yourself. Keep trying and know that it's okay not to have everything figured out. Just keep swimming. In conclusion, you don't need to have everything figured out. In fact, it's okay not to have everything figured out. What matters is that you're trying your best and that you're open to changing your mind. So if you're struggling to figure everything out, take a step back and relax. It's okay not to have everything figured out. What matters is that you're trying your best. I hope this video helped you realize that you don't need to have everything figured out. And if you're struggling, then it's okay to ask for help. There are people who care about you and want to help you. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you for watching and take care.